Welcome to Love Byte.
Here is quite a bit of background. My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years and together for 6 years. I am currently in my second trimester with our first baby after 2 miscarriages. When my husband and I first met, we drank and partied a lot. We were always out with friends, going out to dinner, and staying out pretty late into the night. We also experimented with threesomes, but only when we were very drunk, or at least I was. When my husband asked me to marry him, I let him know that I wasn't going to be okay with threesomes or bringing anyone else into our relationship if we were going to be married. But if that was what he wanted, then this wasn't going to work. He was completely fine with never having threesomes or bringing anyone into our relationship, so we got married. A few months after we married in 2022, I made the choice to become sober due to the increasingly intense fights we were having only when we'd been drinking. They got very ugly, name-calling and all, but nothing physical. If this marriage was going to last, I had to quit drinking. So, I have been happily sober for almost 2 years, and my husband has not had a problem with it. I also didn't have a problem with his drinking when I first got sober. Maybe 6 months after we got married, my husband's drinking increased. He was drinking while working some of his overnight shifts. He would drink so much that he couldn't drive us home. So, I brought it up that I think he may need to cut back and that it was making me uncomfortable, but he didn't want to because he felt I was trying to control him. Whatever, I let it go for a while and let him do his drunken thing. Recently, we have had instances where his drinking has really become an issue. For one, I had to wake him up towards the end of one of his day shifts because he was passed out drunk, working from home. He is the sole moneymaker in our relationship. I only work part-time, which he has insisted on since we got married. I have come home on more than one occasion from work, and he has been drunk. I can tell immediately, if not by the way he talks, but by the odor that has been on him since he started drinking so heavily. I will ask him, "How much have you had to drink?" And when he skirts around the question, I end up mad at him the rest of the night. Alright, well, fast forward to last week. We were in California for a conference for work. When I'm not working part-time at my job, I help him with his business. We have been a great team at conferences where he does sales and makes connections, and I am great at helping him stay organized and remember who is who. We have a great friend in the industry, Sarah. She has become a close friend of ours. She's come over for dinner. We've hung outside of work settings. She's just an all-around really cool woman who is a bit older than my husband, divorced, and has 1 kid. So at this conference, after my husband had been partying for the past 2 of 3 nights, on the 3rd night, around 10 p.m. after a conference-sponsored dinner and karaoke night, I asked my husband to come back to the hotel with me to hang out on our last night, plus he had to be up very early to judge presentations at 8 a.m. the next morning. Drunk, he said, hell no, and that he would be back in the room by midnight. I walk away, a bit mad, and go to sleep in the room. Well, midnight rolls around and my husband isn't back, and I haven't heard anything from him yet. So I call him to make sure everything is okay. He picks up very quickly and is clearly having a great time telling me what they have been up to. I asked when he was coming home, as he said he would be home by midnight, and he told me that this was the time when he got clients, so he would not be coming back now. I don't know what came over me, but I got so angry in a split second that I replied, "You're not going to get clients drunk, dipshit." Oh, I have never wanted to take something back so badly. I felt terrible about what I just said. I'm even mortified to type this out. I felt so bad that I kept calling my husband, who wasn't answering. I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. After multiple attempts to apologize, I couldn't go back to sleep, so I turned on the TV and waited until he got back to the room. He got back around 3:30 a.m., and I profusely apologized. He forgave me, kissed me, and said he loved me. We started talking about the rest of his night, and that's when he told me Sarah was there with them. I asked how that went, and he got very quiet. I calmly waited and asked what happened. I knew he was very drunk, but I needed to figure out what happened. He told me that they talked and that he told her that he sometimes wanted her, and she told him she sometimes wanted him, too, but that they didn't want to hurt me. I don't think I've ever been so calm in my life since he said this. I pressed a bit more and asked if that meant he wanted to be with her. He said that he asked her to be a third in our relationship, and she wanted to, but again, didn't want to hurt me. The next morning, I asked if he remembered everything he told me. He said he did. So I ended up texting our friend Sarah, letting her know that I was not mad at all and that I was just looking for clarity around what was said. She texted back, saying that it completely came out of left field and that she in no way agreed to be a third and that she only wanted to be friends with my husband. She told me she had been picking up on some weird vibes for a while, but she couldn't really understand them until he asked her to be in our relationship. I showed my husband these texts and he didn't really say anything. At this point, I felt so betrayed and emotionally cheated that my husband went behind my back and said these things to another woman when I was at the conference with him. We get home, and I'm so upset that I ask him to leave and find somewhere else to sleep for the week. He tells me I am overreacting and that the conversation wasn't as long as I thought. He says things like he is sorry his drinking has this effect on me and has yet to apologize for the whole incident. After a talk with our couples therapist, I decided to give my husband an ultimatum. I know, not the best course of action. I told him if he wants to be in this relationship, he needs to cut drinking out altogether. I will separate from him if a drop of alcohol comes across his lips. He has proven that A, he can't control his drinking, and B, something like this will always happen. He is telling me that I am getting what I want and that he will try to stop drinking. I feel my boundaries have been dismissed so many times when I'm very clear about my boundaries. He is still not at home, and I can't bring myself to want to see him. I also don't want him to settle for something he really doesn't want. Am I overreacting?